Welcome back to Game Day Recap. Did you have the Bears leading the division on your bingo card this year? That is currently what we're looking at when it comes to the NFC North. They continue to march through the season on top, 8-3 under first-year head coach Ben Johnson, and now Chicago has won 8 of their last 9. You also have the Packers and the Lions close behind in the race, and then the Vikings have some work to do, safe to say. We're going to get into that in just a moment as we welcome you back into our CBS Sports HQ studios. Pete Prisco, Carthon, Logan Ryan, I'm Haley Sutton. Guys, let's talk about the Bears. 4 straight wins, and I remember a couple weeks ago they had like that weird loss, but before that it was like the longest winning streak in the NFL to that time. It just seems like they are really finding their stride right now, Rand, the Bears are.
Yeah, and they're starting to click on all cylinders in terms of the offense, and the run game has really given them a big boost, which we know, as much as we know Ben Johnson for being creative, he has leaned heavily on that run game during his time in Detroit, and now you're starting to see that in Chicago. But more importantly, Caleb Williams is starting to play better football. He's taking better care of the football now. He's going to have those head-scratching plays where you're like, what the hell are you doing? And then he'll find a way to whirly-bird his way out of it and extend a play and make a play for you. But he is making plays for this football team. And dare I say, when the game is close, late in the fourth quarter, and they get the football back, I personally have belief that Caleb Williams can drive this team down the football field and score touchdowns for you. And then you talk about coming into this game, if you're the Bears defense, you're without all 3 of your starting linebackers,
right?
Your top 3 linebackers, which is a hard thing to do from replacing those guys and the way they've played. But then your ability to adjust and make adjustments on the sideline with 3 guys that hadn't played much. But 2 of their young guys came in and both had 14 tackles or more individually. And so they stepped in and played some good ball for them. So this Bears team is starting to become a complete team and starting to really establish themselves in that NFC North.
It's the first time they beat a team with a winning record. So you got to give them credit for that. And they were behind twice in this game and came back. And that's a good sign for a young team. And you mentioned Caleb Williams. He made a terrible play in the end zone when he lost holding on to the ball and lost a fumble. That turned into a touchdown for the Steelers. But that's always something I want to know about a quarterback is how do you respond after a mistake? And he responded. And that's the best thing that if you're the Bears and you take that out of this and say, hey, my quarterback faced adversity and some of it was caused by himself and kind of recovered off of that, that's a great sign for the Bears. So, look, you got to give them credit. They lead the division. Ben Johnson's done a great job, and let's see if they can hang on to it.
They're a sneaky 8-3, and it's coaching, man. Coaching is, in the sport of football, I mean, I think this is the sport where coach is the most important. I always say this because every single play starts on a dead ball. In other sports, in basketball, Kobe can go clear it out and go figure it out. In soccer, Messi can go do what he's got to do. The coach got to do nothing. They can sit on the bench and watch. But in the NFL, the coach has to be so good in the situations, right? And they got the right coach. They have the quarterback they believe in. They got the coach. And the Bears weren't so far off last year, but they had such bad coaching decisions, lost so many one-score games that it just looked out of control, but they had good pieces on the roster, some good receivers. The quarterback, they addressed the offensive line, and then they get a guy like Kevin Byard, right? The linebackers are out, but you got the old trusted veteran Kevin Byard, and all he does is lead a league in interceptions about since I played with him, he was doing that. I'm on this desk, and he's still doing that. So that's a matter of consistency right there. But they're a team, like you said, Pete, and Rand, like you're believing them down the stretch. Like to win the game down the stretch. And you don't do that if Ben Johnson's not the coach. If this was last year, we wouldn't believe that the Bears could win games down the stretch.
Do you believe that the Bears are going to win that division or the best team in that division? That's the question, because the answer to that is probably no. I mean, I'll be honest with you, my answer is no. I don't think they're the best.
Are you sticking with the Packers?
I think the Packers are the best team in the division. I don't think we've seen the best of the Packers yet. But give the Bears credit because they're going to be a playoff team. I mean, that much is pretty much a given. Unless they totally collapse, they're going to be a playoff team.
Well, I'll say going into the season, I had the Bears making the playoffs.
I did as well.
I had the Bears. I actually had, and this was pre-Micah, and not saying that Micah should have swung it that much of a difference, but I had the Bears in and the Packers out. Is what
you probably had the Vikings in too, though.
I didn't have the Vikings.
The Lions.
I had the Lions. I had the Lions winning the division. Yep. I thought it would be clear-cut and easy that was the Lions division. But here's the one thing I want to say. Not only is Ben Johnson a great coach, But the one thing that he did that he does not get enough credit for is he built a really good coaching staff. If you go down that roster and you look at that coaching staff from top to bottom, not only does he have former players sprinkled in there, but he has guys that teach fundamentals and techniques. And Logan, you know that is a missing art in our game at this point, are the guys that can teach you the fundamentals, the techniques, and the why behind everything that you're doing. And if you look at this coaching staff that he's built, you see a lot of that in there.
We talked about that Cowboys-Chiefs game on Thanksgiving being an exciting playoff implications in that one. On Friday, we then get Eagles-Bears. So, Rand, I'll give you last word here before we push ahead. Early expectations for what we can expect between the Bears and the Eagles on Friday.
Man, I think it's going to come down. It's going to be a defensive game, and it's going to be a matter of which defense can really get after the quarterback, and which I personally, on the early part of it, I think it'll be the Eagles. I think the Eagles will come out on top because I think they'll not only will they be able to get after the quarterback, but I think coming off of this loss, they're going to find a way to get Saquon the ball. And
I'll refrain from making my pick till Tuesday.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
You got your show on Tuesday.
I'm kidding.
We're excited for that one. I did want to mention T.J. Watt, 115th career sack. He passed his brother as well for that record there. So some good stuff for the Steelers, but some work to do. Pete, I want to talk about your Packers because they came to life on defense. They had 4 turnovers, 5 sacks. Were you more impressed, I guess, with what the Packers were able to do defensively, or were you more concerned maybe with what J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings were not able to do?
Both.
Okay.
Look, the offensive line. Well, the offensive line was beat up. I mean, Christian Darrisaw is a really good left tackle, and he looked like a spinning top out there. I mean, Micah Parsons was a man possessed today. He was fantastic. Yeah, J.J. McCarthy is a problem. I mean, let's be real. Nobody says it. Nobody has said it. I've continued to say it. The Vikings have a J.J. McCarthy problem. You know, all we ever heard was, oh, Kevin O'Connell, he can fix everybody. Anybody who goes through there. He fixed Sam Darnold. Look, if Daniel Jones now, he fixed him even as a backup. He can fix everybody. He's not fixing his own damn quarterback, is he? He's a problem right now. And if Kevin O'Connell and his staff can't fix J.J. McCarthy, they have a major problem. Major problem.
I love when Pete gets passionate about this.
Yeah,
you hear the spike in his voice, and he's high pitched when he starts talking about these things. But here's what Minnesota's offense turned the ball over 3 times today, and their time of possession was only 22 minutes. It held the ball for 22 minutes, and I don't care who you are, you can't beat anybody in this league unless you're hitting explosives, and where you're only possessing the ball for 22 minutes. But what I want to say about this Packers team, and Pete said we hadn't seen the best of the Packers yet. To me, we've been saying that every week. So when are we going to see it? Today, they had 288 total yards. They had 142 yards passing, 146 yards rushing on the ground on a day where they didn't have Josh Jacobs. So shout out to Emmanuel Wilson, who had 28 carries for 107 and 2 touchdowns. Can you explain the logo?
I don't know what that
Can you explain the logo?
That's when you pull a running back off the shelf and put another one in, and he rushes for 100 yards just like the other guy did. They're everywhere.
Shut up, Pete. Shut up, Pete. But this Packers team, yes, this is a talented team, and when they're clicking, they can be a problem. But where Pete said we hadn't seen the best of them yet, again, I feel like we've been saying this every week. So when are we going to see it? And if that's not the case, then is this who they are?
Well, today was pretty damn good now.
I mean, you just said that Minnesota has a J.J. McCarthy problem.
Well, but
he passed for under 100 yards. And so it's kind of like.
I mean, they turned the ball over. They took the ball away. They didn't have to do a lot on offense. And like you said, they had point-blank fields. But if they play that way on defense, they're going to get games out of Love where they can score the ball, score a lot of points. It just hasn't. I don't think they've been the best on offense yet that we've seen.
But that's kind of like that's kind of my thing with them right now. It's when is it going to come in, and is this who this offense really is? So we'll see. We'll see.
And that's the point right there is Jordan Love. Is he going to ascend? Right? They're talking about how old he is at this age, 28, when Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers won it. Is he the guy to take this roster and take this team to Titletown? You know, and I don't know. Today he was 14 of 21, 139. Played super safe. The defense and Jeff Hafley, we talk about great coaches. Jeff Hafley's a great coach. Okay, so they have a great defensive coach over there. They're capable of playing great defense. Micah Parsons go off and wreck a game, right, like a generational player that he is, and that's why they acquired him. but is Jordan Love going to do enough? Because Josh Jacobs wasn't there, and it wasn't like LaFleur was like, let me put it on Jordan Love's back. You know what I'm saying, Rand? It wasn't like, oh, he can handle it all. It's almost like he's managing it because he's got to take care of the ball. So is that going to be enough in a wide-open playoff race like we talked about, where you're saying, I feel really good about Jordan Love to go and win all these games this year on the road or whatever. And
we
go
did it
win a
last week
title.
against the Giants, though. You know,
Against the who?
Okay. They pushed it. They pushed a good team on the road today in Detroit. So yeah. But he did. He had to do it. Nobody else was playing well, and he did it against the Giants last week.
We're going to learn a lot about the Packers. I mean, we talk about a gauntlet of a schedule. They've got the Lions, obviously, on Thanksgiving, and then they got to play the Bears, the Broncos, the Bears again, and then they finish with Ravens, Vikings. So we're going to learn a lot over the next couple of weeks when it comes to the Packers. I do want to talk about the Lions, though, here. I feel like on this show, when we've spoken about them, it hasn't, and I know Lions fans probably won't like this, but it hasn't been very memorable. I feel like when we talk about the Lions in the past, it was Dan Campbell's special team, and it was fireworks, and it was Jared Goff, and we saw Jahmyr Gibbs have a big game. But let's keep it a bean here. They went toe-to-toe with Jameis Winston and the New York Giants today, and Jameis played great. They had moments, but when you think, Ran, about what the Lions are, who they're supposed to be, what do you think of them in Detroit? What's their identity this year when you're getting overtime wins over a team that just got eliminated from the playoffs?
I think the problem right now, and first of all, before I say it's a problem, I think Kelvin Shepard has done a really nice job with that defense, especially with the amount of pieces that have been in and out. But I think right now that the defense has been a bit of a problem for them, and them being able to stop people from scoring points. But if you're the Lions, and they have some other issues too, you're talking about this offense. Dan Campbell's now calling the plays, right? So you've taken the play calling away from John Morton. That's an issue. And then when you're Dan Campbell, now a lot of your focus is getting ready for the offense, making these adjustments. And now he can't be the CEO head coach that he's always been to make some of these decisions, because now he has to factor in his ability to call plays. But at the end of the day, he's got that guy in the backfield, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes, he does.
And when he can get the ball and create space for this guy, I asked the question in the green room, is this guy the most explosive and fastest player in the league right now?
And with Tyreek Hill out right now, I couldn't think of anybody else
He probably is.
that can compete with him. Maybe Waddle, but Gibbs is a different level when he has the ball. And Rand, I'll say this, man. I believe in the Lions because they have star players.
Yeah.
Right? They have some true star players. They can run the ball. I know Laporta's out, but they have Amon-Ra. They can convert third downs. Goff's been there before. They still got a good O-line. Jahmyr Gibbs is the most explosive offensive player in football at the moment. And then defensively, they got their guy Aiden Hutchinson to close out games. And I know we said, oh, man, they struggle with the Giants, but a Jameis Winston effect team.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we see this with Jameis every single year. This man caught a touchdown pass. He had a double pass. He was doing alley-oops in the end zone. There was kind of some crazy stuff going on. The Lions still found a way to rally at the end. But I will say, if you see this team in the playoffs, they got some pieces where you're like, hey, Gibbs can go hit a home run in overtime, or Amon-Ra can go for 10 for 140 on us, or Aiden Hutchinson go get 3 sacks and go wreck that game. They do have some star pieces. You cannot sleep on the Detroit Lions.
But real quick, Pete, before you go on, the pieces you were naming, you didn't say David Montgomery. You didn't say Sam Laporta. These are all weapons, and along with his 219
Laporta's
yards.
gone now, though.
Well,
so
he's out for the year.
Yeah.
Well, even Jahmyr Gibbs, he had 219 yards rushing today, but he also had 11 catches.
Yeah, no, that's the problem.
11 catches, 15 carries. He's got the ball in his hand 26 times. Something explosive is going to happen.
Can this team win a Super Bowl?
They got to get the guys back in the second. They need Joseph back. They need Arnold back. Those guys need to get back in the secondary. There's too many guys running wide open all the time, and that's a problem. So if they do get those guys back, sure they can.
I had Detroit and Baltimore in the Super Bowl were my picks this preseason.
You feel good about it?
I don't feel good about it, but I'm gonna stick to.
I don't feel good about mine anymore either.
I'm just gonna roll with it because I said it, and I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna hold myself accountable.
Stick beside him. Yes, you are.
And so we'll see.
I will give you guys this nugget. We talk about Saquon. We talk about Bijan Robinson. We talk about these great backs. When I was on the San Francisco 49ers and we played the Detroit Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs was the #1 guy that we wanted to take out the game. And he was a rookie that year. So he's even better now, but out of all their weapons and their stars, we knew that kid that year was like, no, we need to have a plan on that guy 26. The rest of them, we got to do our best. but we got to make sure we don't get this guy singled up because he is a home run hitter for them.
Well, Dan Campbell took him out of the game by going for it on 4th down a couple of times.
Regardless, Jahmyr Gibbs, third player in Lions history with 250-plus scrimmage yards and 3+ touchdowns in a single game. He is certainly turning heads, and we are excited to see that game against the Packers on Thanksgiving. Okay, when we come back, not the cleanest game for Drake May, but somehow, some way, the Patriots continue to roll. We'll break it down next on Game Day Recap.